Hey, welcome back to the second video in this series of food kits from the Malt Miller, which I'm making from my house. My name's Jim. This is Sophie. This is Mari. So like many of you at the moment, I'm at home, and I'm at home for a considerable amount of time. These two are off school, so we're looking for projects and things to do to have a bit of fun in the kitchen, learn a little bit about some food processes, aren't we? And spend a bit of time together as a family. So today we're going to be making the Mad Millie Kombucha kit, which we sell. We're going to knock up a batch, and then what we will do is come back in a couple of weeks' time once it's ready to drink, and I will get these two to do a live taste test for you. So let's take a look at what's inside the box now, and then we'll talk about some of the equipment that you need to make this. Okay, so first up in the box, we've got our easy read step-by-step instructions. Now they're going to take you through the entire process of making the kombucha, and they're really simple and easy to read. Second in the box, we've got our really important stick-on thermometer. Thirdly, we've got our muslin cloth. Now this has got a couple of different uses throughout the process. First of all, we're going to be using it to cover the kombucha whilst it's fermenting to ensure that it's got a sterile environment. And then secondly, it's going to be used in part to strain the kombucha through a cone when we come to bottling, so that we catch any particles that are maybe floating around in there, so we end up with a nice clean drink at the end. Last, but by no means least, this is what makes this kit super important. And it's not the jar. The jar is really cool, but it's this. In here is what looks like a jellyfish. And it's not a jellyfish, it's a Scobie. So Scobie stands for symbiotic culture of yeast and bacteria. So it's a blend of yeast and bacteria that is going to ferment our tea for us and give us the distinctive sour flavour that we get from kombucha. Okay, so that is kind of the heart and soul of everything within this kit. So now we're going to take a look at some of the other bits and pieces you're going to need to make yourself some tasty kombucha at home. Okay, so some of the other bits of equipment that you're going to need to do this should all be readily available at home, and we've got a couple of other ingredients I'm just going to talk to you about. So we need a little saucepan that we can boil the water that we're going to need. We're going to need a bottle that you can securely fasten for once the kombucha's finished fermenting. You have to put it in here to do like a secondary fermentation, like you would if you were bottling beer at home. You're going to need a funnel. We've got 50 grams of caster sugar here, and then we've got our tea bags. Now you can use any strong black tea of your choice. I'm using a Sam today because I like the flavour of that, but it's up to you. They need to be able to sanitise everything that we're using today. I'm using no rinse sanitizer that we sell at the Malt Miller. However, you could use boiling water or whatever really works for you. Just do a bit of research and have a look online. That's the kind of bits and pieces you need. One last thing that the recipe calls for, which is 1 litre of boiled water. So we're going to come on to the process now of getting this going. All right. Okay, so what we're going to do first of all is make our tea. So this is a really sweet sugary tea. Now I've got 950 millilitres of boiled water here. What we're going to do now is add some sugar. So Mari, can you pass me over the little bowl of sugar? Do you want to tip that in for me, darling?
All of it.
Yep, all of it, nice and gentle. In you go. That's it, good work. And Sophie, if you can stick the tea bags in. There we go.
That looks weird.
And then as we stir it up, you can see we're just like making a big cup of tea. All right. So we're going to leave this to steep now for a few minutes to make sure it's fully infused and the sugar's all dissolved. And then we'll come back once that's happened and get it in the jar. All right. Cool. So I've taken the tea bags out. Our tea's nicely brewed. It's a great colour already. We're going to pour our hot liquid into here. There we go. Now I'm just going to loosely put the lid on it. Now we've just got to be patient and leave this to come down to room temperature before we add our Scobie into it, okay? It's now time for us to add our Scobie into the tea. We've let it cool down, it's at room temperature now, so there's nothing left for us to do but for us to add it in. So Mari, can you pass me over the scissors from there? Thank you very much. Sophie, do you want to take the lid off for me? Thank you very much. Right, let's open up our Scobie
You're good at that.
and on who's going to give us a countdown? 3, 2,
2,
1. In it goes like a jellyfish. There we go. Right, so now what we need to do is just loosely put the lid back on. We're not tightening this now because it is going to ferment, so there will be some gases let out which we're going to want to escape. But to help us kind of maintain a clean environment, what we're going to do is put a muslin over the top and tie around it. So Sophie, can you pass me over that muslin, please, and a bit of string? Thank you very much. There we go. Right, so now all we've got to do is keep this at room temperature for the next week or so. Now, what we can do if we want after a few days is just taste test a little bit with a spoon, see if it's souring up the way that you want it to. It's going to take around about a week to get to like that sweet spot, but everybody's taste is different, so you can adjust and move on to the next step when you're happy with the amount of souring that you've got in the tea. Okay, so we'll see you in a few days, and we'll get this into a bottle and then leave it a little bit longer to carbonate up. We'll see you soon. Okay, so we're going to need a few little bits of equipment to bottle our kombucha. The first being a good bottle, preferably something like a swing top bottle like this that we can get a good seal on, or something else that you can get a good seal on, like a good screw top bottle, or maybe even a crown cap bottle if you've got one knocking around. We're going to need 1.5 teaspoons of sugar. I'm using caster sugar. You can use brewing sugar, you can use demerara sugar, it's up to you really. You're going to need a funnel, you're going to need a muslin cloth as well, a spoon, a bowl for us to store the Scobie in, so as we take it out before we bottle, we're going to need something to store that in, ready for holding on to for our next use. And then this is where you're going to add your flavouring as well. So I've sliced up some lemon and some ginger that we're going to use to flavour our kombucha. Now all of this has been sanitised with Star San ahead of this, just to make sure that everything is clean, ready for us to use, so we're not going to get any infections. Exactly the same way and the same kind of precautions you take if you were bottling or kegging a batch of beer. Okay, so first things first, we need to get the Scobie out from in here. So all we do, just take the lid off our sterilised spoon. Now we're going to need to just go in gently and scoop the Scobie out. There it is, and we're going to add just into there. Oh, spilled a bit. And then we're going to cover that with some cling film, and it can be now stored in the fridge. I mean, ideally what you can do is have another batch of kombucha ready to go, and then literally just put the Scobie straight into the tea. Right, so we're now going to start adding our bits and pieces into the bottle and start adding in the flavourings that we want to use. As I said, I've just got some sliced up ginger and a little bit of lemon, which I'm going to add in there, which is going to just give us the flavour that I want. You can add loads of different flavours to kombucha, including using different teas. You can use green tea, you can use like gunpowder tea, you can use English breakfast tea. I'm using a Sam for this, as I mentioned earlier, because I really like that strong kind of tea flavour. And then we just need to add our sugar as well. So we've got 1.5 teaspoons of sugar in here. That should be plenty to give it that nice kind of fizz that we want. Okay, so now that the sugar and the flavourings are in the bottle, we need to add the kombucha to it. So we've got our funnel in there, and all we want to do is just pop in a piece of muslin, because we're going to try and catch any little particles and bits and pieces that are still floating around in there from the Scobie, and try and stop them getting into the bottle, because we want quite a clean drink when it's all done. All right, now believe it or not, this is the first time I've done this, so I am learning just as much as you are. Now let's see how we get on. We're going to keep it now in the bottle for a couple of days at room temperature to allow that secondary fermentation to take place and the carbonation levels to build up inside. Then what we'll do is we'll come back and I'll have the kids with me. We'll do a taste test, see what they think, see what I think. You never know, I think the kids might actually really like this. It's an interesting flavour, and I'm really fortunate my kids love like being experimental with what they try to eat and drink, so it should be really interesting. Hello, so it's been a few days now since we bottled up the kombucha with some sugar. It should now have carbonated. As I said earlier, this is the first time I've been doing this, so it's going to be interesting to see whether that's worked or not. I've put it in the fridge to get it nice and cold. I've got my taste testers with me today. So Sophie and Mari, they're going to give this a go. It's your first time trying kombucha, isn't it, girls? Yeah. Yeah. It's my first time making it. So let's see how this goes. Right. 3, 2, 1. Oh. I was hoping for a bit more of a fizz than that. Okay. Well, let's see. A little bit for you. Don't taste it yet. A little bit for you, Sophie.
Thank you.
A little bit for me. Right. Let's pop that up there. First things first, let's have a little sniff. Get your nose in. Ooh.
It smells like orange juice. It smells like vanilla.
Vanilla-y? Right, okay. Let's taste it.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. What do you think then?
It's really good.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really refreshing. You can definitely taste the lemon and the ginger. It'd be awesome to try it with different flavourings and different teas as well. That's really refreshing on what is a very warm Saturday, isn't it? Right? Cool. Well, look, like I said, this is the first time that we've had a go at doing this at home together using the Mad Millie kombucha kit. It's turned out really, really well. I thoroughly recommend giving it a go. Get creative, have a play around with it, and see what you come out with. If you've enjoyed the video, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the bell so you get notified whenever we release a new video on the Malt Miller. And check out all of our videos that are available on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, all the usual places. And we're going to enjoy a nice cold glass of kombucha now, aren't we, girls? Right. Thanks very much. See you soon.